It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
And welcome into another edition of Musso at the Box. LSU gets their third shutout of the season and 16th win, defeating North Dakota State 7-0 on Wednesday evening to sweep that midweek series, improve to 16-2, and now they will turn their attention to Southeastern Conference play. The 30-game grind, the 30-game gauntlet, whatever you want to call it, begins Friday when LSU faces Mississippi State for 3 games in Starkville. So today, what we will do on the pod is obviously recap LSU's victory over North Dakota State and then begin to look forward to SEC play, mainly in this vein, where LSU stands heading into the 30-game grind that is the SEC. Smash the like button if you have not already. Get subscribed to the podcast on the YouTube channel, Musso at the Box. Search and subscribe on your favorite podcast app as well. If you have not already, all of that helps out greatly. Share the video, share the podcast. All of that helps out greatly and is much appreciated. All right, let's dive in, shall we? Man, just on the surface, that was a really sleepy game Wednesday at the Box. Slower start for LSU offensively. They came on, better later as the game went on. 7 runs on 8 hits is your final total there for LSU. They left 8 guys on base, so plenty more opportunity there as well. You saw 6 pitchers combine for the shutout in this. They struck out 13, so that aspect of your team continued to dominate, and you got to see some of the younger guys as well for LSU in this spot too. So we'll go through it, but I mean overall, if I had one word to categorize that game, it was sleepy. And that's not to be all to be too unexpected, right? It's your last pre-conference game. You're facing a team that had 3 wins on the year coming into that one. And, I mean, you're ready as much as I'm ready, as much as you're ready. They're ready to get to SEC play as well. So, excuse me, it's a late afternoon start that was pushed back, due to inclement weather that never came. And it had the makings for the sleepy game, and it was. But LSU got the win. They, took a hold of an opportunity to improve in that win and did all those things. So let's begin. Let's run through it. Griffin Herring gets the start for LSU on the mound. Really liked that choice. He was one of the guys we talked about in our recap of game number 1 that definitely could have been in that spot. You knew when you're going to go deep, because you're going to want him for the weekend. He ends up giving you the same thing that Cade Anderson gave you. 2 2/3 innings, 38 pitches, and he's, pulled out of the game, and he'll be ready to go for the weekend. It was a dominant first for him. 3 up, 3 down with a strikeout. LSU got the offense going in the first inning. Matt Sargent got the start for North Dakota State. We talked about him in our preview. He had started a lot of their midweek games so far on the year, and it had been a really rough go of it for the young man. Control was a big problem. He came in with 9 walks and a little bit over 3 innings or something along those lines. It wasn't his forte, and you saw that early in this game. He gets Bingham to ground out, but then Tommy White doubles to left center field after being ahead in the count 2-0, and Neal follows up with a walk. Jones follows up with the walk, and you have the bases loaded. Hayden Travinski grounds the ball to third base. It's fielded cleanly, but thrown into right field. So that allows a run to score and everybody to move up. So Travinski's on with a fielder's choice and then a throwing error after Josh Pearson comes up and strikes out. Braswell's hit by a pitch, so another free pass from Sargent. That chases a run home, makes it 2-0. Paxton Kling draws a walk, the third of the inning for Matt Sargent. That chases home another run. LSU's up 3-0, and Sargent is promptly removed from the ball game. A fielder's choice would end the inning, but LSU at that point is up 3-0. Another great inning, or at least a start of another great inning for Griffin Herring. Gets the strikeout, gets the ground out, a single, the pitch count. ultimately removes him from the game. I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong line on Herring. I said 2 2/3 was an inning and 2/3, 37 pitches, and he was out of the ball game. So that's really all you needed from him. Christian Little comes in. The runner steals second, but Little, 3 pitches, 1, 2, 3. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Strikes out style, and LSU's back in the dugout. Tigers can't really come through in the bottom of the second when they have a runner in scoring position, and another 0 is hung there. Christian Little settled in nicely, though, after coming in to relieve. Herring would hang another 0 in the third, and that, it worked around traffic in that inning, which was great to see. And then in the fourth inning, another 0 from Christian Little, and again, a little bit around traffic. All in all, a fantastic day for the senior Tiger right-hander there in Little. You look up, it's 2 1/3, shutout, a walk, and 4 punch-outs on 39 pitches. So he was efficient, he was in the zone, and he was able to work around the little bit of trouble that he had. Y'all, we have talked about Christian Little plenty on this program. Plenty. All the way back to the preseason, where I said that's going to be a guy that LSU is really going to need to emerge this year. And we gave the example of his sophomore year at Vanderbilt, where you could see the blueprint for him. The thing that went so wrong for Christian Little in 2023, he walked too many guys. The innings he threw in 23 at LSU and his sophomore year at Vanderbilt were very comparable. At Vanderbilt in that sophomore year, he walked 17 guys and had an ERA of about 3.7. Said, if he can give you that, that's going to be awesome. LSU needs some right-handed options to emerge here. They're very left-handed heavy on the mound, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Clearly it's not. They're doing awesome on the mound right now. But the more options you have emerged, the more of a different look you can give a team, the better. So Christian Little's huge here, and he's a veteran. He's pitched in Omaha multiple times now, and you look up right now, there's a low walk total for Little, and the ERA is at 3.68. If he can continue to give you that, he's going to be a big piece of this. And I understand, I'll throw out the caveat, yes, Christian Little, we saw this from him last year in the pre-conference. He was awesome, and when he got to the SEC, that's when the trouble kind of started. So we'll have a close eye on him, but so far, Christian Little's been great for this LSU team so far early in the season. Nick Bronzini would come in and relieve Little. That was in the fifth inning. To start the fifth inning, he would get 2 outs, and then they'd go to Will Helmers. Helmers would end up turning in 2 shutout innings of his own. He's looked really good. And the bottom of the fifth is when LSU once again gets on the board. Brady Neal starts it off with a walk, 4 pitches. Jared Jones comes up, doubles deep to left center field. That scores Neal. LSU's up 4-0. Ben DePoltz inserted as a pinch runner. Hayden Chervinsky with a single. So you have runners at the corners, and then Josh Pearson with the sacrifice fly that ultimately scores DePoltz. So great manufacturing of runs there by Pearson, understanding the situation, a veteran hitter, plays into the trust factor with a guy like him, and ultimately LSU's up 6-0 there in that inning. They would add 2 more runs in the bottom of the 6th to get to their total of 7. A leadoff single from Jake Brown on the infield. And Mac Bingham follows up that with his second home run of the season, and LSU is up 7-0. That was their final margin. Helmers and Moffitt carry you the rest of the way. Helmers, Cam Johnson, and Aiden Moffitt carry you the rest of the way, and the Tigers win 7-0. Excuse me. Got an itch there in my nose. All right. So, look, it was, like I said, it was a little bit of a slower start offensively for LSU after that first. They scored all 3 of those runs without the benefit of the hit, and then started, getting a hit here and there and just not really being able to drive anything else home. Like in the second, Bingham has a hit, doesn't come around. You don't get another one in that inning. In the third inning, Pearson starts it off with a single. You, again, don't get another hit in that inning. In the fourth, he didn't have a hit. But it's just it was one of those games, right? And then they really came alive well. What you saw from the offense in the 5th and the 6th was great. I mean, it was clutch hitting, manufacturing of runs. It's everything that you want. So, slow start, but ultimately a good offensive day. I'll tell you one thing I like offensively from this team today is, again, the production kind of throughout the order. You had 2 RBIs out of your leadoff spot. You had an RBI out of your 4 hole, an RBI out of your 5 hole, an RBI out of your 6 hole, 7 hole, and 8 hole. That is all the way down through the lineup. You're having guys drive runs in. Now, some of that, sure, is being hit by a pitch with the bases loaded. Fine, but you get the RBI for that. That's great. Walk with bases loaded, fine, whatever. I really like seeing Pearson. He has the 1 hit today, but also understands the situation and drives in a run with the sacrifice fly. I think that's great. Brady Neal, who's been one of your hottest hitters, is held hitless today, but found a way on base twice with walks and came around to score both times. Tommy White is hitting the cover off the baseball right now, and it's just not falling in. He hit a ball all the way to the center field wall today, Wednesday, that was caught. He on Tuesday night, laces the ball into the right center field gap. The center fielder makes a great play and robs him. And he got robbed again in the left center field gap on Wednesday. That's 3 times you had potential extra base hits for Tommy White taken away from him. So he's seeing it at least. He's hitting the ball. That's a good thing, and eventually those will fall in. We will get more in depth onto LSU's offense and where they stand heading into SEC play momentarily. I do want to close the book on the pitching staff a little bit here, though, because I thought 2 guys in particular, young guys, looked really, really good here in this game, and they're going to be a big part of LSU's future, not only probably later this season, but definitely down the road. And you're going to obviously see them pitch plenty in the midweek to keep working and refining their craft. But I thought this was a great step in the right direction for both Cam Johnson and Aiden Moffitt today. Cam Johnson, I thought it was the most consistent that he had looked so far, both from like a velo standpoint on the fastball, but also from a control standpoint as well, which was great to see. 2/3 of an inning shutout. Did have the 1 walk, but also the 1 strikeout. The fastball was, much more consistently in the mid-90s today. You had seen it actually kind of jump around a little bit on him. 90, 92 one pitch, 95 the next, 93 one pitch, 96, then back to 92. Today it was Wednesday it was much more consistent. 94, 95, even a 96 in there as well. So I thought that was great. Look, he comes in, walks the first hitter he faces, but after that gets the fly out and then the strikeout. And what was impressive, he worked ahead. He got ahead of each hitter. So that is 100% a step in the right direction for Cam Johnson. So he will continue his development, and he will be a very integral piece of this LSU team. Same thing for Aiden Moffitt. Again, with the fastball velocity, most consistent that you've really seen it all year, and the hardest that you've seen it. He hit 99 a handful of times, really sat, 96, 98, a good portion of his outing. Lost control a little bit there in the 9th inning, but got it back and ultimately struck out the last batter of the game. That's going to be huge for him. He's just got to harness the control a little bit more of that fastball and get a little bit better feel for the breaking ball, and he can be a weapon for this LSU team. So really, really excited going forward with what they have in Cam Johnson and Aiden Moffitt. Thought those both were great outings for both of those young players for LSU. All right, let's shift gears here and talk about where they stand heading into SEC play, because that's obviously a huge topic now. We are done with these pre-conference games. The only non-conference action you have will be midweek. It is SEC focus from here on out. This is where it can get really fun. I will tell you in a broad statement, this LSU team is right where I thought they would be heading into conference play. They're right where I thought they would be. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I had them 16-2, but I definitely expected them to drop a couple pre-conference games where they figured some stuff out. And what we've said all along is this is a team that was going to lean on their pitching staff early in this season while they figured out their best lineup, while they got it to come together offensively. And that is right where they are. And in doing so and leaning on that pitching staff has gotten you to 16-2 through your first 18 games, and you will take that every single time. Would you love to be 18-0? Of course. But there's only, I think, maybe two teams in college baseball that are still undefeated right now, and A&M's the only SEC team that is still undefeated right now. So losses are going to happen. We know that. But in a broad view of them, they are right where I thought they would be. If you look at your pitching, your starting pitching has been dominant. Dominant. You could throw Cade Anderson into that mix too in the midweek, but if you're just looking at the weekend guys, they've been dominant. And I mean, it's incredible. Todd Politz had a tweet to kind of demonstrate this. Let me find it. Hold on, because it was really good. Here, right here. He credited Doug Thompson on the LSU Sports Radio Network, wondering if this is the best 8-game stretch of starting pitching in LSU baseball history. You look at LSU's starting pitching. Now, granted, this is before the Tuesday game. Before the Tuesday game against North Dakota State that this was published, these numbers. So they've changed a little bit. But going into that game, you had 8 starts from Holman, Anderson, Jump, Hurd. They were 6-0 with an 0.43 ERA in 41 2/3 innings, 9 walks, 71 strikeouts, opponent hitting just 158 off of your starters. It has been dominant. We can go back to what Holman, Jump, Hurd did against Xavier on the weekend. 16 innings pitched, no earned runs. That is dominant stuff. 1 through 3 in your rotation. That's awesome. You definitely want to see that. The LSU bullpen, I think, has been really good as well. You've got some guys there that you know you can count on. We talk about it all the time where you're going to obviously pare it down. You got to with your roster anyway. Pare it down in the SEC. You want probably about 8 guys out of that bullpen that you can count on. And with the way LSU starters are going, you may only need 6. Going into that final weekend of pre-conference, I gave you 6. Let's kind of go back through that a little bit. Gavin Guidry, yeah, you can count on him. Fidel Ulloa, yeah, you can count on him. Nate Ackenhausen, yeah, you can count on him. Like, you feel real good about that. Griffin Herring, I feel good about Griffin Herring right now to you. That's 2 really nice outings in a row for him, and you've seen what he did last year. Herring, 100%. I'm in on Griffin Herring. Cade Anderson now out of the bullpen. I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, I'm down for that. Javen Coleman, sure. After what we've seen from him, moving him to the pen. I'm down. That's 6 right there. And then you look at a guy like Christian Little, who we touched on here. Can he continue to improve? Sure. I feel good right now throwing him out there. Justin Lohr, you want a little bit more consistency. Definitely there. He's in that category with Christian Little. Same thing with Sam Dutton. I think we've seen a good few outings from him this year to where he can absolutely give you time on the weekends. We're up to 9 right there. And the last 3, we're still wanting to see maybe a little bit more. But that's a really, really good start, especially considering the starting pitching that LSU has gotten. So where you are on the mound right now, I don't know if you could really feel much better about LSU going into SEC play. And the team you're going to face in Mississippi State has really struggled offensively early in this year outside of Dakota Jordan. So that's going to be an advantage for LSU when they start SEC play in Starkville on Friday night. The mound, that will 100% be an advantage for LSU. Now, offensively, you're not where you want to be, but again, they're where I expected them to be. Do you need a little bit more from some? You absolutely do. But I think there's also guys like Tommy White where you're just waiting for it to fall in. And the more you can surround him in the lineup with great pieces around him, the more opportunity he's going to get to make those hits fall in. I like having some combination of Neal and Travinski around White. Like, I like having White in that 2-hole a lot. I think that's a really good spot for him right now because you can stack multiple guys who are hitting the ball well behind him. And if you get to a spot where you have Milam up there at the top, you go Milam, White, Neal, Travinski, or Milam, White, Travinski, Neal. That's a really good top 4 in this lineup, and it's going to make it really hard for teams to pitch around Tommy White, which is just going to give him more and more opportunity. You want it to be more uniform throughout, though. Oh, by the way, you have Jared Jones in there, too. My bad. Forgot the guy leading the team in RBI and home run to piece around White as well. Like, you have a chance to have a really good top 5 in this lineup right now, and I think you feel pretty good about that. It's everything after that. That's where you need more consistency. Mac Bingham had a really nice series against North Dakota State. Ended up with 4 hits. That's a great step in the right direction for him getting back on track to where he was earlier in the pre-conference slate. But you're going to need him to keep that up in SEC play because that's a veteran bat that packs a little bit of punch with some power and understands what Jay Johnson wants. He's got a great history with Jay Johnson. He understands what Jay Johnson wants. So consistency for a guy like that is going to be key. They have to get Paxton Clean going. It has just been a really, really, really rough go of it for Paxton Clean right now. There is no other way. There's no other way to describe it. I mean, he ended up 0 for 6 with 4 strikeouts in the series against North Dakota State. He's just not seeing it right now. I mean, there's no other way around it. He's down to 226, but you have to keep him in there because of the defense in center field, and you're just going to have him work it out. I liked having him in the 8-hole. I think it's a good spot for him. He's going to see a lot of fastballs there. Obviously, he just has to get himself together. I think a day off here on Thursday is going to be a good thing. Have him refocus on the travel day over to Starkville and see if he can't put together a really nice weekend to start SEC play. When you look at Michael Braswell, I think you've seen some good things in spurts from him. Just the consistency's going to have to go there. But again, he's been awesome at shortstop, so he's going to be in there. And just going to hope that he works it out. And then, look, I'll sit here and tell you, we'll give a projected lineup in the full preview. But, I mean, I think it's going to be Josh Pearson. It's been a bit of a struggle, inconsistency for both him and Brown, but the trust factor that they have with Pearson. So, again, I think you have a chance to have a really good top 5. You have to piece it together 6 through 9 right now if you're LSU, and you need some guys there to really start picking it up a little bit. And they're all capable. They're all talented enough. It just has to come together, and that's the slower part that we've talked about. So, I'll say it again. I would love to tell you I feel great about them offensively heading into SEC play. I don't feel great about it. I feel good. I don't feel great about it. One of the reasons I feel good is because I think your pitching staff is just so dominant, they're going to hold a lot of teams down. And the lineup will continue to make strides and come together. I thought this was a good 2 games against North Dakota State. I mean, you scored 13 runs. You manufactured runs well. All of that is a positive. They don't lack for talent in the lineup. They lack for a little bit of experience, and they lack for a lot of consistency, really 6 through 9 right now. But all of that will get better the more they get the experience. Like, this slump for Paxton Clean, as much as it sucks to see him have to go through this right now, it's going to make him a better player and a better hitter at LSU. Like, if we look up in May and Paxton Clean's back at the top of this lineup and hitting, 280, 300, we're going to look back on this slump in, early March and be like, okay, he learned from what was giving him problems there. And all of that will happen for a player, especially of his talent. So be patient with the offense. It's going to look different right now. They're going to scratch and claw some runs across and then pop one out of the ballpark every now and then because they still have a lot of power in this lineup. And as the conditions that they have to play in continue to improve, so too will this offense. So defensively, I think they've been really, really good. I mean, LSU's been really, really good defensively, so I'm not really concerned there either. They're where I thought they would be. They're in a good place going into the SEC. They are in a very good place going into the SEC, especially considering all that you lost out of that lineup and having to kind of rebuild and retool it here through the first 18 games. So looking forward to a great weekend over there in Starkville for the Tigers. That's going to wrap it up for today. Smash the like button. Get subscribed up to the YouTube channel. Subscribe up on your favorite podcast app as well. Follow me on all my social medias. That is greatly, greatly appreciated. And be here next time. We're going to preview the Mississippi State Bulldogs right here on Musso at the Box.